Welcome to the DevReady Podcast. Joining me on the DevReady Podcast today, I have Luke Chaffey. For those of you that are new here and haven't listened before, I haven't really met Luke before. We had a quick call a while ago just to see if he was a good fit for an episode, and he's on, so he definitely was. What I'll do, I'll hand it over to Luke and let him introduce himself. Again, Luke, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Anthony. My name's Luke, Luke Chaffey. I'm a Managing Director of AIWise. We help companies who think they need or know they need AI, but don't know where to begin. Just a quick background on myself. So I started out in web development 15 years ago. Over that time, I went to uni, did IT, didn't help at the time. Then I moved, and after 5 years, my father and I had a web agency. We partnered with David Koch from Sunrise and created Chaffey Digital, which was a digital agency that we ran Australia-wide for 7 years. After that, I moved into a startup, which was around deploying augmented reality and artificial intelligence, and built out chatbots for companies internationally for about 4 years, and now have moved on and started my own agency, AIWise.
Okay, it's quite a few different things there. Probably want to touch on the deal the venture you set up with Koshi. He does have an entire network. If people don't know that, it's not just what you see on the TV, on what you used to see on Sunrise. He has a whole small business network that he's got built around him. How did that come about, and how did that open some doors, having probably a person like him on board with some connections?
Yeah, absolutely. So that came about because Dave, my father, he effectively got involved on forums, had conversations with people like AJ, Koshi's son, and was basically brought onto the TV show as a digital expert and helped guide businesses that way. And then effectively just the relationship grew over time, and that led us to opening the conversation of starting a venture together.
Oh, cool. So your dad was like the expert they bring in when there's a tech discussion or something that's needed.
Yeah, exactly. And then over time, throughout my time period there, I was in web development, search marketing, search advertising as well, and then custom web development. But alongside that, I then got recognized as a digital expert, providing over 400, I actually don't know the specific number, but providing over 400 articles over a weekly basis for about 4-ish years, 4 or 5 years. It was a lot of work to go alongside my actual work, but it was well worth it.
That's pretty cool. I think I've submitted 1 or 2 through them. I had a contact with their previous head of marketing a couple of years ago, so I was on a couple of little podcasts and submitted an article or 2 through the network, but nowhere near the level of 400.
Yeah,
that's hard to keep up.
Definitely a lot. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work and a very difficult to keep up long term. You really have to dedicate your time towards it if you want to continue pushing that sort of route. And I did, so yeah, it was absolutely.
No, it was good. It definitely helps. Probably now you're definitely more in the marketing side then, because you've got that ability to write and be able to persuade and educate people. So it probably it's a very good skill to have. Not probably, it definitely is. That's the value I find from writing articles.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the challenge with so myself, I'm very much technical based, and I find the challenge with a lot of technical people is they're maybe a bit more closed in. Very straightforward on the facts, and be able to speak and talk to both clients and from a marketing perspective, it can be quite difficult when you're coming from the very technical background. So I found that also very helpful from just an ongoing personal development perspective as well.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you're very far on that side of the technical. There's personable skills can sometimes get put on the back seat, and you're more just focused on the tools and the technical ability. So it's definitely a great experience to have gone through that. You mentioned chatbots there. In just guessing through the timelines of how you did things, that was all pre-ChatGPT, and it would have been earlier than that.
It was very much at the emergence of ChatGPT. So a lot of chatbots in the past, obviously built with workflows of follow a certain pathway, using little boxes to go down those pathways, or using input to pick up which way to go. But we got involved very early on with we built out a tool that was utilizing augmented reality to place a large piece of manufacturing equipment. So say like an office printer, being able to take your phone, place that office equipment down in your space, make sure it actually fits, and then we utilized AI that was trained on that specific product to then answer any questions that a user might have to help facilitate the sale from the start to the actual process.
Oh, wow.
And that was a tool that we built and took to the market. We didn't have very much take up in Australia specifically, but we found the American market was very big. But this is also talking quite a number of years ago now. So I know AI has moved along, and so has augmented reality. But it's very much changed over time. Our early prototypes utilized basically OpenAI as the base. So we had OpenAI on a specific model, I think it was 3.5 turbo, and utilize that alongside a database just with all the information for that product to effectively pick and choose what's related and pull it back into a response so that someone can have a conversation.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I just assumed it would have been a bit earlier than the 3.5 model, the ChatGPT phrase. I remember getting access to OpenAI going through their wait list, but I was on like ChatGPT 2 or GPT 2. It wasn't even chat then. And doing a test and thinking, oh, that's pretty cool. And then not looking at it again, which was in hindsight, a terrible mistake.
We did an experiment many years ago before ChatGPT actually, which was just our own internal prototype. But it was we had a little robot that you used your phone to scan, put it on the ground, and then we utilized some local, probably now I'd say very rudimentary, but we used some local AI to then basically be able to answer some specific questions, but also enhance that with augmented reality. So having that robot, for example, was look up the address of some place. And it would then shoot a hologram up from its face of a map positioning of that business. And it was pretty cool to work with early on, but we didn't take that prototype then further because we just didn't quite see the application in what we were working on at the time. But it was a cool product.
Yeah, from my memory, like the couple tests I did was like writing a couple blog posts and just getting it to write some content. It was okay. It wasn't anything groundbreaking. It wasn't writing like amazing sentences or anything like it does now. So I didn't spend enough time with it. If I'd spent enough time with it, I'm sure I had the realization that I had probably 2 years later at the time, which is how we could use it in our like DevReady and the way we operate. But you don't know what you don't know at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing is the market's always evolving. People are coming out with new products and there's just so many things to try and keep up with, and it can be difficult at times to just stay ahead of where all the information's at and what platforms are out there to do certain things, because you might be working on a tool for a client and then all of a sudden someone comes out with a whole platform to do it all, and sometimes that can be pretty eye-opening, but
it's definitely something that's something to be concerned about now with how fast you can build probably like good proof of concepts or prototypes. Polished apps still need a lot of work from what they're doing. But I still remember have you ever heard of there's an AI for that, or that website?
Yeah.
Which is like was the original source, yeah. So I think up until May of 2023, I was keeping up with everything that was going on that website and going through it and reviewing and checking everything. And there was maybe 400 or 500 things at the time, and then it just accelerated and I just couldn't keep up with it anymore.
That's very impressive even to keep up to that point. That's a lot.
Oh, I had to try and just understand what was happening.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
but for me, it's I've been developing different tools like little pieces, and I find just ChatGPT even throwing in prompts of here's what I want to build, or into Cursor or Lovable, any of those sort of ones. I almost like to throw them into all of them to sort of let them compete against each other and see which one can produce the best outcome.
See what happens.
Yeah, it's and Lovable's a great one though for just getting a quick demonstration of any sort of prototype.
Yeah, they all got their own little nuances and how they do things. So what are you jumping into that you're testing that stuff with AI now, and how you're assisting your clients?
Yeah, so for myself, what we do is we come through and build out, we sort of work in a few different chains, sorry, I should start with. We come in with businesses who think they need or know they need AI, but don't know where to begin, and help either build out a strategy, a roadmap, sort of trying to find, here's the opportunities that you have to hand, and then let's present those and quote on effectively, can we implement those for you? Or it might be, hey, we can hand those off to your dev team and they can get involved. And then alongside the implementation, we also do training and workshops. So basically helping leadership teams understand where AI fits and educating them on what it can do and where to take it. And so from a implementation perspective, some of the biggest things that we're doing at the moment is a lot of automation workflows and also a lot of, effectively, I'd say, proof of concepts. So building out little tools that the company then might choose to, well, let's bring that into production and actually bring that live to the website or to whatever state they require. So it's very much a lot of automation in there, though. And it's really interesting to me because AI, the word AI and what AI is seen to be able to do now has brought out the word of automation. And I think it's such an interesting change that there's things that I'm doing now that companies are like, oh, wow, can we do that? That could have been done 10 years ago. And it's just this whole revolution of AI is now coming out with, oh, there's actually this thing called process automation. And it's really interesting to me from that sort of front.
It's bringing it to the forefront. We had, back in 23, we were looking at approach a few businesses and we had an AI ready program we were coming up with, but no one had enough systems in place to add AI to. They were still running on pen and paper or sticky notes and Excel and whatever they were doing, but there was no centralized digital process that you could then add AI in to enhance. So you had to start from the basics, which is probably that's what you're seeing there. The process automation is starting from the basics, get something working and repeatable. Then you can figure out how to add AI into it to make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love being able to just bring AI in for those little pieces in the automation flows as well. Because, like, I'm sure you saw it as well, that typically in the past you have to stop, then start again once someone's actually made some sort of action. Just having AI in there to make some sort of influence, make some sort of decision, really helps just make that whole process flow through further rather than the whole start and stop sort of side of things. I'm loving
it's not just
that.
if else anymore.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of fuzziness you can introduce, which can help self-categorize things.
Yeah, exactly.
On the automation side, are you sort of using those automation tools like Make, NAN, Zapier, or are you doing programmatic in code?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's a bit of both. My preference, personally, because I have the coding background, is to utilize like Python, but I have a few clients that definitely want to have access and have the ability to manage that automation going forward. So for those sort of guys, I would typically move to like a Make because it's, nice and easy, nice and visually pretty to utilize.
Yep.
And can handle the majority of the tasks. I found in Make, though, sometimes you got to get some little weird workarounds to make things work. Because for one example, like I had a tool that was just a proof of concept to write a blog. And what I wanted it to do was firstly take some title that's been produced and give me effectively like an outline of that post, of what section should I have for each section, give me a little description of what I should be writing in it. And what I wanted it to do was go through and then iterate through each of those sections and write the content for it. And then be able to refer back to that content when it's writing the next section. And that feels like it should be relatively simple in Make, but the iteration process, the way it works, there's not like a global variable that you can save that blog content to. In. So it required me to store it temporarily in like a Google spreadsheet, load it in each time and save it. And then it's just like, there's these little workarounds. It's fine, but you wouldn't want to have to do it at mass. And especially when I'm looking at it from like a Python perspective, I'm like, I could do that so simply.
Yeah, I find NAN's a little bit easier on that level if you're a developer because it's got more of those control flows where you can set up condition switches, for loops and things, and there's variables that you can define along the way. But yeah, there's definitely a place for tools like that. I find with businesses, it's quick to get something up and running if you want to test it, and then you can iterate off it fast. Where we're implementing the programmatic ones is more inside systems, where it's part of an existing workflow that we've built in the platform, and it needs to then extend the workflow or take steps away from a person because the person was only there because they had the natural language processing ability to read things, where you didn't have to then code every single case.
Yeah, being able to implement inside some of the systems is definitely the ideal situation for me. I think having to take it out to Make or into even Python code, like it is definitely taking a step of, I have this workflow here and I'm almost bringing it out to its own system to then do the processing and take it back in. And it's a really a
Yep.
question of, well, where do you want to sit that automation process more than anything? And it can be a little bit tricky at times to want to marry between a system versus having its own processing sort of side. But there's definitely different benefits to both.
The other ways to look at it is if it's part of an MVP, you may use one of those platforms in the background. And then when
Yeah.
you're ready to scale, you can then bring it internally because that way your development cost, time, and effort is reduced just to quickly get something up and running. And then there's less infrastructure you need to worry about. Because depending on, I'm not so sure what sort of automations you're running, there's certain infrastructure you need to get running. You might have to go to containers and then you end up having agents, and there's a whole other level of orchestration you need to worry about.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So with the businesses you've been working in over the past few years, what are some of the common things that you're seeing that people are like, not common mistakes or issues or like misjudgments that businesses are making when they think of this AI space and now that they've got to jump on board?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the biggest challenges that I see is people thinking that AI is only for bigger companies. And I think ChatGPT has really helped flow through that whole side of, no, it's for anyone. But there's still companies that just either don't want to touch AI or they're sort of dabbling with it but don't know where to utilize it. And that's where I see the whole introduction of ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever model they want to utilize. Just getting in there and actually starting and using it to begin with is honestly the biggest starting point. But not using it just like doing a Google search or something like that. Actually providing it context, provide it the situation, and actually, give it all the information to the current challenge that you need solved, and let it actually make that decision. Let it try and reason with you. The main problem with doing that, though, is also sometimes it lies. So utilizing it for new topics can be an issue. For me, I've tried utilizing it in areas that I don't know in my own business. So like a lot of the admin sort of side that I've never traditionally really had to touch, but now need to. And it's lied to me, and I've had to get double checks. I've had to fact check with other people that I know to make sure that, hey, is this information I'm getting actually correct? So I find using it for information that and subjects on that well enough, it's really a great tool. Using it in areas that you don't quite know, it can be handy, but you got to be really keeping your eyes, like, if you think something's not quite right, honestly, get a second set of eyes.
Yeah,
That's
isn't.
my thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, especially when you don't know the domain or the area that you're trying to work in. If you have a cursory level understanding of a specific industry, then what it tells you, you can then fact check yourself almost to a degree. At least you'll get the gut feeling to know, this is right or wrong. If I was to start talking about brain surgery and going into it, it could rattle off any scientific sounding term, and I think that's a real part of the brain or the body, and I wouldn't even know. But it's like you said, fact checking it, but also getting it to check itself and say, all right, verify what you're doing. Is this correct? And then on the second time, it might change and say, no, this was wrong, or give it to one of the other models and get them to compete against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one of the challenges with the model that's out at the moment is it's very much sympathetic to, yes, this what you said is correct. It's very agreeable on what you want to hear back. And so you really need to make sure that you don't take it for what it's saying, because it is very much trying to be appeasing to, I want to help you no matter what. And it's a little bit dangerous from that sort of front.
Oh, definitely. I think there was an update a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago now, where they had to roll back a release they did on OpenAI because they will say every idea someone would come up with was the best idea. They were calling it a sycophant. So it was just overly positive. I think someone said that they were going to start selling poo in, like, mail out poo to people. It was like, this is an amazing business idea. You're going to take over the world. And it's like, it was just encouraging it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's interesting how we now have to learn how to work with it, not just have it do the job, which is what everyone expects. I think that's what most businesses and clients they just think, just use it and it'll just do everything for you. Like, it's going to get it right and it'll know everything. But unless you spend the time with it, you don't know the little nuances and all the little technicalities and difficulties you have in trying to get it to be correct, then
Yep.
repeatable and consistent. I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think talking back to the chatbot that I used to run, was part of that process was that we had to test it to see, is it giving the correct answers?
Yeah.
Is it talking in the right tone? Is the representing the company correctly? And in that sort of process, we built out a mass tool to bulk ask questions and get the answers back, but then also to check against itself of, hey, here's all the information that you have to hand about this product. Can you check it for these 5 different factors? And basically, we wanted to make sure, was that information that it's providing back actually factual? Is it relying on the information that you've been given, or is it making it up? There was a few different angles that we looked from, and we needed to effectively give assurance to the client without them having to go through and test hundreds of different scenarios of, yes, this is definitely going to give the right answer, and you don't need to worry about it lying or providing some sort of information that it shouldn't. And it's a very time consuming process to build that out initially.
Yeah.
And then once we had it, then it became a lot nicer. But yeah, it was very tricky to basically get an AI to get the answer, but then to get an AI to say, was that correct or not?
Yeah, so you built your own evaluation framework, which is like a must now these days, because there's no other way to test what they're doing besides gut feel and reading and go, yeah, I've run it a couple of times. It seems correct. But it also depends on the domain that you're building it for, where in your use case, it has to be correct because it's referencing information. So if the information comes back, it can only come back one way. It's right or wrong. Look, there's no gray. I think I've had a little bit more flexibility in our DevReady system because we're using it creatively. So there is no right answer. Look, I don't have the ability to say, yeah, this is correct every single time.
Yeah.
Because it's helping you design a system, and each system it can always be a little bit different. That doesn't matter. And you want that creativity to come back, so not everything's the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember early on in my testing of utilizing OpenAI to get responses, I set the temperature. This is a rookie mistake, but I hadn't read all the documentation, so I set the temperature to 0 because I wanted a consistent answer. And little did I know that 0, despite it being what I thought would be give me a consistent answer, actually meant I'll choose any temperature. And so it gives a random temperature every single time. Yeah, and that was on 3.5. I don't know if it does that anymore. I haven't actually looked and found out if it still does that. But yeah, 3.5 with the temperature 0, it actually just meant that chooses a random temperature. So I ended up changing to 0.1, and then we got much more consistent results. But yeah, that was a RTFM moment.
Yeah, they would have taken you a while to figure that one out.
Yeah.
As well. So in some of these implementations, what's some of the feedback you've had from clients about the benefit they're getting, but more sort of like how they're repositioning their time? Because I'm guessing there's a time saving that they're attributing all of this to. It's not just extra value.
Yeah, so a lot of the times the automation is to cut out pieces where people were going to do manual work. So one example is we have a client that has a company that's referring clients into them. And a lot of that work can be done without actually having a conversation, but their current workflow is just, we will have a conversation because they have no other way to facilitate. And so what we're doing is we're effectively we've built out a pipeline that brings out the more valued customers and sends them in for a conversation. And then for the other ones, be able to still facilitate them and get the right information to them. But basically allowing them to take the conversations with those that are more valuable, and then still actually take on the other clients without having to have conversations. So it allows them to spend their time really on the areas that and the clients that matter more to them. And that's one of the biggest pieces for them, is just they really did not want to have lots and lots of conversations with lots of people. And for them, it's been great.
I think that's what we're seeing as well. So when the client rolls it out, it's inside a system to provide value to their users, and it's to save time doing a trivial job. Like
Yeah.
one platform, we've got someone can write notes and then expand that into a proper job description for a job board.
Yeah, nice.
Everyone can do that, but the time it takes you to craft it well and have it perfectly written and explain all the detail, if you can put in your 10, 15 bullet points, and then those are the domain that you're in, it's got context it can pull from the system, within
Yep.
10 seconds you can get a much better draft that you can then review and just correct, rather than spending an
Yeah, nice.
hour and a half probably to sit there and write it up. Because
Mm.
it's blank page syndrome. That's what people have been calling that term. It's
Yeah,
you
okay.
struggle with an empty page. Once you can get something going, it's much easier to work with.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, we had one as well, which was a similar sort of style there of he has effectively has meetings with clients from a tax perspective, and a lot of the information that he then provides back, it's effectively a report that he pulls back together for them, and in that he's has about 80% of it is almost repeatable, but it changes depending on the client's specific use case situation. Sorry,
Yep.
and we effectively pulled that out. We're like, well, you can spend that time on that little section that really requires your brain, but let's just give you a draft version of the rest of the document. You can go through and change it if you need, but the AI should be able to pull out all the key information based on the context you give it. And yeah, built out a tool that effectively takes 8 hours into two, and it's very been pretty good for them.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can get out of it when you use it the right way. And you just
Yep.
need someone to understand how to probably put it all together. Because otherwise, you
Hmm.
just, as a business, and if you don't know tech and you don't know AI, you're just going to chat GPT, asking it a question, copying and pasting. And that's not saving you time. You're still doing that manual copy and paste, that boring work. It's really
Hmm.
understanding, yeah, how you can implement it the right way to get value and make it repeatable.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I think
I think that's the key.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And honestly, then from like off the automation side on the AI sort of side, like we build out little proof of concepts that yeah they deploy, and there's things like for ecom sites like having a natural language search box rather than just typing in I want pants or something like that, grey pants.
Hmm.
Having a situation, so be able to type in your current situation of I have these pants that I need to get this matching top for. Can you give me some suggestions? And utilizing that to then provide back products from the website that match that situation. And it's been pretty cool to utilize it from that sort of front as well.
It's a cool use case. I'm sure that's
Hmm.
brought up a different sort of interface in the shopping, the e-com sites to allow users to phrase or search that way as well.
Yeah, well, to an end user, like we still try to present it like a search box. So, but rather than being, a traditional style search box, it's sort of prompted as, hey, and give us your current situation. We'll find the best product that matches. And yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
pretty cool one to work through.
Ah, cool. So for anyone listening out there that's thinking about jumping on the fence or not sure whether they should dive into AI and have experimented with ChatGPT but don't know how far to take it, what's some advice you can leave everyone with?
Yeah, I think honestly the ChatGPT front is a great starting point. So if you're not using ChatGPT, definitely jump in and give it a try and see if you can utilize it for your business. Even starting out with pretty basic pieces like writing emails, pulling content together for a document. It's definitely a great starting point. And then when you're looking to effectively take things a step further and actually automate pieces in your company, an easy starting point is a make.com. And that is a pretty simple, not too crazy system to work through. And definitely there's lots of tutorials on like YouTube, or you can ask ChatGPT, and sometimes it can give the answer. But they're really the two starting points from my mind is jumping into ChatGPT is a great one for just general AI, and then make.com is a great one for automation. You can then jump into a whole other range of AI tools that are out there, things like 11 Labs to get voice replication. And there's a whole range out there that I'm not going to go through every single thing.
We
Yeah,
just wouldn't have the time to list them all.
no, yeah, I know there's just so many. But honestly, just looking for, if you have an issue, just even start by going to ChatGPT and see if it can recommend some AI tools to help solve that, because there are a lot of pre-developed tools out there already that will help solve some solutions, and you can utilize those pretty well. But if you then need to go more bespoke, then find someone that can help you, and that's what we do at AIWise.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for your time today, Luke. It's been a great chat, and there's plenty of takeaways there for people listening in on how it can be used in your business with some examples, and then there's the last couple of tools and some pointers there. If anyone wants to reach out and find out more about you, how can they do that?
Yeah, just head to aiwise.com.au. We have a free AI opportunity tool on there. You can chuck in your website and it will give you suggestions based on your website. We pretty much pull lots of information from different sources online, and it gives you some opportunity potentials with AI. But otherwise, you can just reach out to me directly through there. We have a contact form or free consultations as well. And LinkedIn is always a great one.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again, Luke. And we'll add all that to the show notes.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks.